Awesome. Well, welcome to our Truth Talk with Tinya podcast. And this is part of the Transformed Lives series, Lives Transformed. And I have a very special guest here with me today. And I'm so excited for you to be able to hear from Shannin and learn more about her journey and who she is and, how she's become the incredible woman that she is. So if you're just tuning in and you've never listened to one of the Lives Transformed podcasts before, the purpose of this podcast is all about sharing a transformation in some area for someone in their life. And it's all about inspiring, empowering, and encouraging others, maybe yourself, to make some changes, to be able to step up and up-level yourself in some way, shape, or form. And what we're going to talk about is, getting deep into the breakdowns to breakthroughs. We really do sometimes have to go into the deep, dark places in order to be able to really propel ourselves into a new space within our lives. And, we're going to get really real and really raw about some of those different things. It's all about the shifts, the decisions, the breaking points, that really catapult us into living the lives that ultimately we're truly here to live. So on that note, I'm going to introduce you to our guest today. And Shannin Hudson is a woman who I've met through our network marketing company. We got connected because we'd met at events, but she had reached out and asked me to support her into a next level with her physical change. So she was doing a body transformation journey. And so I stepped in to help Shannin kind of fine tune things with what she was doing with her fitness. And through that, what I always love when I'm working with clients, whatever the reason is, nutrition, fitness, there's always so much more to it. And as I got to know Shannin and understand more about her story and where she's come from and where she is and where she's going, I just fell more in love with the person that she is, because she's just got a true heart of gold. She is like a shining light, a beaming light for anyone who enters her space. And when I asked Shannin to share a little bit about, who she is, I'll do an intro and then she's going to share with you more on a personal note who Shannin is. So Shannin was born in Montreal and moved to Brockville, and she still lives there when you were 8. So you've been there for some time. She moved away for university and then returned when she graduated. Now, Shannin is a super smart cookie. She has 2 engineering degrees, so kudos to you, because that's a lot of studying, my friend. Mm-hmm. She's got her bachelor and her master's from Queens, love Kingston. It's such a great place. And she is currently a plant manager for a dental manufacturing company, so she is a busy full-time corporate girl. She loves boating on the St. Lawrence River. She loves the outdoors. She loves travel, exercise, and getting involved with various women's groups in the community. She really does love giving back. She's a servant leader. She's got a huge heart. So I can imagine that would really just fuel you. She is also, I think, something that's most important to her is she is a very proud wife and a mom to 2 beautiful kids, Rianne and Garen. And she mentions that she almost always has a smile on her face. And like I said, she truly is. When you spend time in this person's space, you can't help but feel better just because. So Shannin, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so sweet.
You're welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. So I'm looking forward to diving right in. So how about, I would love to hear from you, so let's learn a little bit more about Shannin Hudson. Share with me sort of your Coles Notes version of, who you are and what really excites you most about your life right now.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of things that excite me right now. I, as you know, have sort of been on this journey, and even for the past 12 weeks or so with you, but it's just been so much more than that. From a health perspective and from a fitness perspective, I never in my life imagined that I could, sort of be at this place. And I've come so far, and I'm just really excited to see, where I can go next. My daughter definitely fuels me. She's 23 years old. She is, just so into health and fitness. And I just think it is such a gift to be able to share that with her. And we do it together, and I love it. And our whole family is involved. So, at this point, it's just, again, I never imagined getting to this place because I've certainly not always been here. That's awesome. That's what excites me most. And just, thinking about the future and just, being really healthy together as a family.
That's awesome. So when you talk about being in the space, can you give a little more clarity to what this space is? So what are you feeling, like physically, mentally, emotionally, like what is so exciting right now?
Yeah. And honestly, it is all of that, Tinya. It is physical. It's definitely mental as well. And, I've, like you said in my intro, yes, I'm such a super positive person. But sometimes I project that more than I feel it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a total journey for me mentally. Um, I, you know, I guess I've just, I've been in places in my life, right? And we all go through life and we have the challenges, the ups and the downs. And right now I just feel like I've come through so much and there's been so many things I've realized about myself in this entire journey. And I don't talk about it enough, right? I don't share it with people. I've been I've kept everything to myself. I've been very quiet about it. So thank you for the opportunity today. I think this is just the next step for me. It really is just, again, like you said, if somebody could, learn something and be inspired by something that, that I've gone through, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, even just the fact that you just said that you projected more of the positivity and, the happy, sunshiny Shannon when that really wasn't how you felt always on the inside.
Yeah.
And I think that alone, like that just chokes me a little bit because I so can relate to having those days, and everyone has those days. And we don't always know that people have those days. And it's about sharing the story, not just the glory, fun stuff. So let's talk about those days. Like, let's take me back, to, for you to have the contrast to know what is feeling so amazing right now, what felt so crappy. Like, tell us a little bit about your journey and your experiences that, weren't so sunshiny.
Yeah, man, we can turn back the clock 40 years ago, honestly. Like when I say that I never imagined I could be to where I am today, that's so true. It's, I grew up and I was an overweight child and, with everybody around me, supporting me, but I was always referred to as, big boned and, and I was told that, you'll grow out of it. I was young, but it honestly, I didn't realize that how much that had stayed with me literally until like just the last few weeks. I mean, I still had that total stigma and that was really, really tough growing up. Just not feeling like I was part of a team. I mean, especially sports teams and just groups at school and just trying to fit in. And I never really felt really connected to people. Not really any close relationships. So, that really, really stuck with me into adulthood. It really did. And I think people would look at me. I beyond my teenage years, I didn't necessarily have, a big weight issue or challenge, but I was so unhealthy. I was really unhealthy. I never developed those healthy habits. I never exercised. I never played sports. It never made me feel good. I always felt horrible. I mean, I'd go and do a workout, especially any high cardio. It's just like, it never made me feel, I never had that feeling. And again, it's only been in the last 3 years, like in my 40s, that I've just started to love it. There was a period of time, I guess, in my 30s, right? I had graduated, two engineering degrees. I so much focused on that. And then I started working in my career and I spent so much time just, climbing the corporate ladder, really way too much time at work. I was so out of balance. I really was. And, I missed so many moments with my family, right? Because I'm spending so much time at work. And again, just, I felt horrible. Those were probably the years where I projected the most, like I want to be positive. I want people to think of me as positive, but I felt horrible. I did. I was totally exhausted, stressed out, and I was cranky. Honestly, I didn't like who I was at all. Yeah. So that was that was a tough time. And it's that self-awareness that I wish I could go back and change, because you have no idea how awful you feel until you start feeling good. And that's so true. And I'm just very lucky that, that a really good friend, helped me get on this path. And, that was 7 years ago. It feels like it's taken so long.
Yeah.
But, and I still didn't even incorporate any physical activity at that point. Like I said, it's really just only been in the last 3 years, but that really was the breaking point when, I guess my son, he would have been maybe 4 or 5 at the time. And it's just, I get home from work and I couldn't wait for him to get into bed. So I, go to bed and then get up feeling exhausted. I suffered, like, even if I did try and do anything physically, I'd either injure myself, I'd put my back out, horrible, really horrible health-wise.
Well, and all of those, those things, I really do believe that, the universe talks to us in certain ways. So the fact that it was a compound effect for you of the sort of self-neglect and self-abuse, really, because you weren't listening to your soul, because you were so wrapped up in what you thought you should be doing and on this path of distraction or whatever it was, still ambition and everything like that, and grateful for the journey. But the universe will start throwing that stuff at us. Is like, oh yeah, you're not going to slow down. I'm going to slow you down. You're not going to stop and listen. I'm going to make you stop and listen. And, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that, piece about your son, because I think so many parents can relate to the fact that they're just so caught up in what they feel that they have to do to create the funds to be able to do the things with their family that they really don't get to enjoy anyways, because they're just like, it's just this vicious circle.
Yeah.
Was there any one particular, what's that? Sorry.
That's exactly what had happened, really. I mean, I thought I was doing the right thing, but so many people avoid taking care of themselves, right? Because they think that, that they just need to give everything and focus on family and children. And I mean, me, being stressed all the time and tired and honestly, just not a nice person, really. And that's not helping anybody.
No. Was there one particular, sometimes there's different things. People have these aha moments, Shannin. Did you have like an aha or like a turning point, or was it kind of a few different situations that made me realize I have to start doing something different?
I can't really point to one moment, because like you said, it was so cumulative, really. It took me 37 years to really start to focus more on my health and just an opportunity that arose. And I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to research things. And so, when the opportunity presented itself, my husband jumped on, right? And so for a whole year, he was sort of on this path and this journey, and I'm still in like denial phase. Honestly, I was in denial. I'm like, I don't need to do anything. I'm good.
So we're talking about getting going with superfood nutrition, right? That's what it was. Yeah. So incorporating that. And
exactly. And just learning, right? Learning about, what's good for us, what isn't good for us. I mean, because there's so much information out there, and it's easy to just bury your head and just avoid it, right? Just thinking everything's fine. I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm approaching 40. It's just an age. I'm just getting old.
Yeah, 40.
So silly. So silly.
Scary story. I know, right? It's a scary story. So when you think about, what would you say was the story that you had that really wasn't serving you? Was there any one particular story that you had that wasn't serving you that you now know you've changed and that has turned things around for you? If you could pinpoint, what the story was or what you may have told yourself, because a lot of people make up these stories about who we are, right?
Yeah.
So for you, what was Shannon's previous story and what's her new story?
Oh my, I guess my previous story was literally, I guess the biggest thing for me is belief, right? Just belief in what I can do. Everything was academic to me, right? Academic and then career. And I, never really believed in myself because I still had that 5-year-old mindset, right? Like, who wants to hear my story? I don't fit in. I'm not a active person. I can't play sports. I don't work out. I don't exercise. It's, I had all those stories in my head that, why would I start doing that? And to me, it was like, it was about weight loss, right? It's not about weight loss at all. Exercising is not about weight loss, right? I mean, as you know, but that's the story that was in my head, and belief that I could actually do it and stay committed. That was the biggest thing. I, make up all these excuses. I don't have time. My body won't keep up with me. I'm too old. Goodness.
So what's the new story?
The new story is, make a goal and crush it. Literally, like I love really making physical goals now. And it doesn't matter whether it's, how much I work out, running Spartan races with my daughter. We just ran a 5K on the weekend. I would have never been able to do that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been laid up in bed. Yeah. I would have put my back out. And it's been something that obviously doesn't happen overnight, but I love feeling strong, right? I love feeling healthy and stronger. And that sort of lack of belief is very much fading. I won't say that it's like disappeared, but I'm always thinking about, okay, so what's next? Like, what do I want to do next?
Yeah. So I love that. And how has the new story, how has your new approach to life and, these things that you said, you've worked on your belief, you made a decision on a goal and you took action. You didn't keep remaking the same decision over and over again. And that's something that people do is they make a decision. I'm going to do this time. I'm going to go for it. And the next day it's like, I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I don't have time. Like you said, what has changed in your life so 2 questions I have. I'd like to know what has changed in your life. And I would also, how has this affected relationships, any other things that are happening in your life? How has this sort of renewed Shannon shifted things? Let's start with that. Shifted things for you as a mom, as a wife, as a, in your business, whatever.
I'm going to say for 6 years, I coasted. I got to a certain place and I got in a comfort zone and I coasted. And, I've been on the journey for about 7 years and, neither going backwards or forwards, Tina. I guess it was just honestly just sort of stayed maintaining, sustaining. And, this past February, I attended an event with my daughter and, we both wrote goals on the board that was displayed there. And I don't know what clicked in me. It's so hard to think back to that moment, but I turned 45 this year. And I think that was and I was turning 45 2 weeks after that event. And I think that was honestly, it's just all culminated into that moment that I'm like, okay, I haven't had that big transformation, right? What I thought was physical, right? I started out with a physical goal. I really wanted to work on my fitness. I wanted to look and feel better, right? This massive physical transformation. And it was so scary because I'm like, I have no idea how to do this, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But that day I committed. I did. And that's one thing I'm blessed with, is that I have a lot of willpower when I make a decision. Mm-hmm. But I had no idea what I was going to do. So I honestly, the other thing I truly believe in is divine timing, right? Because there was a few things that happened in that week. It was to me, that Sunday that I signed up for the challenge, it was a special day to me. It was February 26th, and those numbers mean something to me. And so I knew that was a sign, and I wanted to start that day. But I wanted to really commit, and I needed a goal at the end as well, sort of that milestone. And so that day, honestly, you and I had met probably 2 weeks after that online, right? When I had reached out to you, and I truly believe that, it was meant to be. It was meant to be you that helped me through this last part of my journey. But I had booked and paid for that photo shoot too, right? So again, this was all physical to me, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to show up to that photo shoot with my 23-year-old, like, rock hard body daughter without putting the work in. And so I really needed those two things. I needed a coach in you, and also sort of that, that milestone at the end, which that I knew that I would totally commit. And that is what, honestly, that combination did it for me. I could barely find time to work out one time a week. And again, that's where I was stuck, right? In my head. I don't have the time to do any more than this, and that's where I was stuck for a number of years. And honestly, like, going from one time a week to like 9 times a week. But in my mind, I love how you coached me through it. I love how, you helped me work on my mindset as well, right? Because it's so much more than just putting in the work every morning, right?
So true.
It's about mindset, and it's about believing in yourself, and that honestly, that's really where the belief comes. The belief comes in doing, right? And at the end of it, it's just phenomenal. And I thought it was physical. I really did, but it really had nothing to do with physical. It really was about belief in me. And finally, after 45 years, like, just that acceptance for me, right? That acceptance about myself, where I'm at, celebrating how far I've come, and just honestly a total inspiration for, going forward into the future. I know I'm on the right path. And I'm totally excited, I'm totally excited to be that 75-year-old grandma, right? That is just still rocking out the, 5K races. I can imagine myself running with my grandchildren, right? It's just like, I don't want to waste a day in my life anymore, right? That I don't take care of me, and I want my body to keep up with my head and my mind. And I never want to be in a spot that I can't do what I want to do physically.
Yeah. I love that.
That's why I take care of that. I'm so passionate about it now. I really am. It's just, wow. I look back and I'm like, it took me a while to get to this place, but I'm super proud, and I think anybody can change the path they're on at any moment.
Totally.
That's how fast it happens, right?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and I and you've led right into where I wanted to take you. And, you know, thank you for the kudos. And, you know, this is the thing, is that I do believe in timing as well. And I do believe that, you know, things happen for a reason. And when this, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. Like, I've heard that quote so many times, and it's so true. And, you know, the thing about deciding to do something different is that it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to kind of draw the line in the sand and actually commit to something like a photo shoot, or like something where you're, you know, there's kind of like a moment of queasiness in the tummy where it's like, holy crap, I'm really doing this. Right. But that is what, you know, and I know that you've shared. So thank you for sharing about the whole piece on acceptance, self-acceptance. So you've led into, you know, excited about carrying on this path and where you're going with this. I would love for you to, if someone's listening in right now and they're in the place where you were, you know, even a year ago, and, you know, they still had the story of being, you know, bullied when they were little, or, you know, told by their parents, like, you know, you need to stop eating or slow down, or you're getting chubby, or, you know, whatever. What would you have as advice to either your former younger version of yourself, or someone who is in your shoes right now saying, yeah, so I totally hear that and I get that, and I'm stuck and I don't know what to do?
I think it's a couple things, Tina. I think it's a lot of self-reflection, you know, and I tend to do that. I'll just go sit in a quiet place and honestly just reflect, because I did that too little, right? Just always focused on everything else around me and never really sat and thought about myself, thought about my own path. So just honestly, just being real and just being honest, and taking a look at what is it that you want, you know, what is good in your life, and what would you like to improve, and just really being honest, and then reaching out for help, right? And just reaching out to people, you know, whether it be friends or family or a coach. That changed everything for me. Yep. Absolutely everything. I even when years ago I thought I could do it on my own, right, in terms of, you know, workout plans and stuff like that, and it really, honestly, it wasn't until I reached out to somebody to help, a coach, and then yourself, right, that's where it really changed.
Yeah.
So those two things for sure. Just, again, reflecting on what it is. What do you want, right? What is it that you're looking for? And in any area, fitness, financial, relationships, anything like that, right? It you can apply that anywhere, but being really real. I'd never taken that time to myself and to really think, okay, do I like where I'm going? Do I like where I'm at? And learning along the way, and not being so tough on myself. Just really giving myself that room to grow, you know, to celebrate how far I've come, and just not taking myself so seriously. Honestly, that's what happened to me that one night after I got back from the photo shoot. And, you know, it was a glorious day. It really was, to share that with my daughter. But I was still in my head that day, right? Just, you know, taking a look, we're sorting through the pictures, and I was just picking out everything that I didn't like. Oh my gosh, that shot, you know, my stomach had a little bit of a roll. Like I was really disappointed with myself that I just hadn't taken the time, been in the moment that day. And that's where it all hit me that evening. That's honestly just laying in bed. I thought, okay, I need to reflect on this day, and what lesson am I supposed to be learning here? And all along I thought it was about a physical transformation. And that's when I, you know, figured it out. Like, no, it's not. Stop taking yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
right? It's just enjoy where you're at and be grateful.
Yes.
And be proud. And I laid there with my little purple crystal, and and it's just like the word acceptance just popped into my head that night. And I was just like, wow, that's the lesson I was meant to learn. So that was so powerful.
Yeah, that's absolutely, I love, how you touched on the gratitude and finding the good, and self-acceptance and self-love. And, when it truly is true that when we are building other muscles, whatever it is we're doing, building our skills or building our muscles, it's really not about that. There's always something else underlying or that comes from it, right? But starting at some place and sort of follow the promptings, follow the promptings, which is what you've done, which is.
And honestly, in one moment, it was so clear. But you've got to, you've got to take the steps, right? Take the steps to where it is you want to go, and stop worrying about the plan. To me, everything is a plan. I needed a plan, and things didn't work out. If I had sat and made that plan, and I would have been disappointed, right? I'm learning to go more with the flow and trust. Honestly, trust that the universe, when you make a decision, that you'll be supported.
Completely. Yeah, completely. And the fact of the matter is we don't come out of the womb knowing how to do everything.
No.
A lot of times the conditioning that we've had and, our ego makes up great stories. And, there can be all these little things, these little sort of sound bites in our life that people say something or do something or insinuate something that we take as feedback, and we make up the stories about it, when the reality is that none of it has any truth except for the truth that we give it. Right?
That's right.
Like the saying, nothing has any meaning except for the meaning we give it. So it's so incredible, that you have been able to get to this point, to have this epiphany, to know that you could, as a woman who always seemed very in control of everything externally, yet internally didn't always feel in control, but you were willing to surrender and ask for the support and, whatever it was that you felt you required to be able to take yourself to the next level. That is such a wonderful message and such a wonderful lesson. So moving forward for you, talk me through what your priorities are. Like what you said you plan to be, doing 5Ks with grandkids when you're 75. So what are you doing for yourself physically, mentally, and all of those things to be able to keep yourself in this place of feeling so amazing? What's your new plan?
My new plan. I for the rest of my life believe that I'm, still going to make nutrition, fitness, total priority in my life. My family, of course. I don't know exactly what the plan is today. I was reflecting on that today, actually, and I was thinking, I am one to set goals, right, and just go after them. And physically, I want to continue doing exactly what I'm doing, right? Just taking the time to incorporate it, whatever, right? Whether it's workouts or running or, physical challenges. I always want to do that. And it's so funny because that has never been a priority in my life. And that is so exciting. And I want to keep learning, right? Just keep learning about, how to best feed my body. Cleansing is a big part of just what I do. And I'm always going to do that as well. It just makes me feel good. But it's one thing. And I always felt like I needed to have my own story, right? And I felt like, if I didn't have my own story, how could I help anybody else? And that's just, again, one of those things that it was always in my head. But now that I've gotten to sort of this point, I'm excited about about inspiring other people, helping other people, being an advocate for this lifestyle, right? Because there's still so many people that are they're looking for a change. They're stuck, like you had said, and if I don't want to do it just for me, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not just about me. It is so much more if you can help somebody else, right? And I love to, I'm like a natural cheerleader. I really am. I love to build people up. I love to help people. I love to support people. So to me going forward, I think that's my biggest contribution, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Sort of getting myself to where I'm at, but now just being able to share that with other people who, are in the same place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. And it's so important, Shannin, that you do that, and that you're tying in, sort of where you were with where you are now and how you're moving forward with it, because people can relate to the tougher stuff. And now that you really have pinpointed, what your story to share is, people relate to that more than they'll relate to the wonderful prize stuff without the yucky mess. They want to see the yucky mess too, because that is what people can really understand. So I'm so proud of you, and I know that you're very proud of yourself, which is more important than me being proud of you. I'm so honored to have got to spend time with you, especially on this call, because I think your message is that which is really going to impact a lot of people, because a lot of people have been in your shoes or are still there and really are wanting to take themselves to a new place in their lives. And everyone deserves, I know that you believe and feel too, everyone deserves to feel amazing every day in their body from the inside out. And again, those mental shifts come with starting to sometimes shift other things, and it all ties in together. There's no, everything happens for a reason. So you are just a light. I'm so grateful that you've had this time here. Is there any closing thoughts that you have, or any final, cheerleading advice that you would want to give to someone, out there that is taking the next step to move forward?
Yeah, I would say just honestly, just do it, make a decision. It's the time is going to pass whether you do or you don't. Right. And to me, when I'd said, I was turning 45 this year, and just thinking, geez, I just want to do as much as I can in this life. I don't want to take any day for granted. And, like the years pass, the years pass like a blur. So, I just want to be so grateful for, I'm so grateful for everything in my life. Right. We've got a great life. But that doesn't mean I don't want to coast anymore. Right. And I just want to keep going. And the decisions can be made in a split second. They really can. And just go for it. I would just say, go for it, honestly. And don't worry about how you're going to make it happen. Right. Take day by day and just do it. And it'll come. It really will. You reach out to people in your life and just get on the path.
Yeah. And trust, right?
And try and have the trust and belief in yourself.
Yeah, completely. I love that. Well, that's a great note to end on. So once again, my friend, thank you very, very much for your time. So if people ever wanted to reach out to you, they wanted to learn a little bit more about you, or, maybe pick your brain on something, how could people find you?
Wow. I am all over Facebook for sure. So Facebook is the sure way to get a hold of me. Okay. Super easy.
Great.
I've had a unique spelling, so I don't think there's any others in Facebook land that spell their name Shannin like I do. So
no, definitely.
That's the easiest way.
Okay.
I'm very active on Facebook and happy. I'm absolutely happy to share with anybody, or if they want more information, I would love to help.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, your name will be in some of the promo from this. So it's Shannin with an I-N. Awesome. So on that note, thank you again very, very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And so those of you that have listened in on the podcast, thank you for being here with us. And if you're watching on the video, we're very excited that you've been here with us as well. Please feel free to share Shannon's message. Share this with people that you think this might be of benefit to. And feel free to like or comment below. And we look forward to being with you next time on Truth Talk with Tinya. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Shannon.